FSF Podcast live show. Well, hello there, kids and cadets. Welcome to another outstanding edition of the FSF Podcast Sidebar. I say outstanding because what the hell? Who else knows? It might happen. So, John and I tonight are you never know. We're excited to have you here with us. We're going to be talking about Sony and 20th Century Fox and Netflix all coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And John has some ideas on how this can happen without it being a tremendous train wreck. Which it has so much potential to be a problem
because it really does.
Of the ways that Sony told the story and the way that Fox told the story and the way that Netflix told the story. Some of these stories were kind of Marvel-esque, Marvel adjacent, Marvel-ish, if you will.
Yeah, we could just forget about all the Spider-Man villain movies. Those don't need to exist.
What Spider-Man villain movies?
Exactly. I mean, okay, Venom's all right. Not the greatest, but I've definitely seen worse.
Venom's just fun.
He's always been fun.
And so I didn't need the story to be good. I just needed Venom to not be the one from Spider-Man 3. That's all I really needed. And so mission accomplished.
You didn't like Topher Grace as Venom?
This was bigger around than Venom in Spider-Man 3.
So my big problem with that was I think I had been watching that 70s show 20 minutes before going to see the movie.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And the jump was what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Topher Grace as an actor. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a
great.
very good actor. He's a great actor. He's very good.
Yeah.
I just had a hard time believing him as Venom.
Right.
But Tom Hardy totally sold it.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, any actor that has a notable role like that, you're always going to be associating them with that character, and it's going to
for sure.
For instance, anytime I see Ewan McGregor in a movie, it's that's freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought that is.
I think we've all seen that interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
one of my favorites.
I know. But yeah, the Spider-Man villain movies they can go away. We don't need them.
Yeah. No. Negatory.
Right.
So, yeah. No negatory. That's be most of my responses tonight. So, yeah. No negatory.
Oh, I'm going to get more out of you than that.
Just out of the Canadians, I might throw in a boot every now and then. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, yeah. All these things coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But before we jump into that, I just want to say real quickly, thank you to everybody who's watching and who listens and supports the show, because this show is not possible without you, without your support and the support of our show partners. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the show, whether you follow us here on YouTube or you follow us on your favorite audio podcast provider. We say check out Good Pods. You might like them. They're pretty cool. But if you haven't already, go check out Bones Coffee at bonescoffee.com and use the code FSF Podcast to get 10% off your order. And as I always say, try out the Army of Dark Chocolate, because great googly muggly, that's a delightful coffee. Also, Idea Farm, which was formerly TCTs, that's where fandom meets fashion. Use code FSF15 and you get 15% off your order, and you get some really cool nerd merch. And then, of course, the lightsaber that is guaranteed to be better than a stick. Go check out Master Allen and Level Up Sabers, because A, he's got a good product. B, he's not a giant dick. And C, he's just a really cool guy.
Adjectives, Tim. Adjectives.
And phrasing. So.
It's going to be that night.
It's going to be a night. And just to make sure that it is that type of night, the rest of the show will be brought to you by Rabbit Hole Boxer Grail Kentucky Rye Whiskey. So,
mine's going to be brought to you by water, but before that, it was New Holland Brewing and Distillery.
No.
Very drinking in my system, so this is going to get interesting.
I'm drinking whiskey on air. Anyway, okay. So, it's been a day, dude. It's been a day.
Is it Monday again for you too?
Monday part 4. But hey, it was because before we get into our topic for tonight about the MCU, this morning started off with not 1 but 2 chimney fires in my wood stove.
No bueno, dude. Do you not clean the career salt out like every year before you start up?
So anyway, we had not 1 but 2 chimney fires. We'll get into that more later when we're off the air, and nobody needs to know how big of an idiot I was about this. Anyway, alcohol on the internet? Never.
So fun thing, just in case anybody needs to know this, apparently baking soda puts out all kinds of fires.
Yes, it does.
Including electrical, it works on everything. Common household product.
Yeah, yesterday that was Tuesday, but yeah, that was pretty awful. I was not quite the high school science project, the baking soda taco. The
sophomore with Mad Dog 2020.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that bad, but fortunately I missed my shoes. Let's just put it that way.
Oh,
it also works on bacon grease fires.
That's what I was trying to remember. Thank you, Kathleen.
So, but yeah, we so not only to have not 1 but 2 chimney fires, and then so I engineered something for the house, and if you guys know that's the appropriate response right there. So I had to call somebody in because it just stopped working. After 6 months, it stopped working. The propane run that we had to the house, I was running it off a smaller tank and using a certain type of regulator. So a guy that I know who's worked in the propane industry for years came over and he was checking it out. And he looks at me and he's got his hand up on his face like this and starts rubbing his forehead and like looking down and doing pretty much what John's doing right now. Because John doesn't know
too. It's
John doesn't know the story, but I think he knows where this is going. And he looks at me and goes, "So who put this together?" I was like, "That was me. I did that. How cool is that? I figured it out. I was able to engineer this." And he's like, "And this worked." I was like, well, yeah. He goes, "For how long?" I said, "Oh, I don't know. It's been working for the last 6 months." He goes, "How? This shouldn't have worked for a." He's like, "This shouldn't have worked for a day. It shouldn't have worked for an hour, a minute." He goes, "This should have never worked." Anyway, I had too long of a run from where our propane tank was to the house. I was using the wrong pressure regulator. The tank I was using had a check valve. It had all these things going against it. And somehow it worked for 6 months.
Okay, so I need to talk to your family for a second. Okay. Y'all, don't let Tim do stuff, especially unsupervised, and especially if there's whiskey. If he says he's engineering it, he's been drinking. There's going to be gum, binder twine, and probably some duct tape, and it's a dumb idea.
Excuse me, not binder twine, zip ties. I'm more elegant than that. Thank you very much.
Is that more elegant or more like redneck? I'm not sure. Anyway.
If the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. That's right. Red Green is ashamed, Tim. I don't know if he's ashamed. I had it engineered for 6 months. So anyway, we're back up. We're running. We have hot water and can cook again. And we actually made dinner at home tonight. It was nice. So, but anyway.
Anyway, okay.
That's enough about that topic. But it's been enough said. It's been a day. So let's get into our first of the series that have potential to ashamed, disappointed even.
Oh, we do not use the D word here. Not lightly anyway.
But why did Tim's house explode? No, it wouldn't have had it would not have it would not have had enough pressure for that to have happened. We would have been okay.
I know.
No, trust me. He said he doesn't even know how we were getting enough pressure to the house.
Okay. All right.
So anyway,
who was on site?
Yeah. But anyway, so let's talk about this. Is the first one of the series with potential. And now two of the characters actually have been confirmed that are coming into the MCU. Now there are a couple others that have not. This, of course, is the Netflix version of Marvel.
Okay, so it's been a very good week for me. I know you haven't seen it yet, Tim, so I'm going to try to do this without spoiling anything. But dear Lord, are they doing a phenomenal job with Daredevil?
I have heard. I've seen a few spoilery-ish things. So I mean, yeah,
holy,
it's kind of hard not to at some point.
Like, and there's a level of social commentary happening in the show, and we try to stay out of like that sort of thing and political commentary, but it's very on the nose right now.
I've also read that.
Like, not a major detail, just a little thing I noticed. One of the cops in the show has a Punisher tattoo. Punisher's real in that universe.
Yeah.
That makes it crazier than this reality when that sort of thing happens. Yeah, they're just doing a great job. I winced a few times because that looked like it hurt. I knew it was special effects. I knew there were stunt people. I know nobody actually got injured, but
sometimes special effects or not doesn't matter.
Yeah. Whew. But yeah, they're doing a great job. And at one point, I think it's in the second episode, one of the characters mentions that they're dealing with vigilantes with skulls on their t-shirts, guys dressed up like spiders, and some weirdo with devil horns on his costume.
Awesome.
So they're acknowledging Spider-Man in this show without, say, 3 in his chest, 1 in his back, and he was still running. That was a lot of knives in one person. That clip's on YouTube. I'm not ruining anything. But so they're acknowledging Spider-Man exists as much as they can without getting in trouble with the Sony contract.
Right.
Already. Which is phenomenal. You know, I love that Marvel's, Disney especially, is dancing with this line of who owns what. Because if anybody is going to be absolute sticklers about who owns what, it's going to be Disney.
Right.
The company that shut down a daycare for not having licensing to have Disney characters on the daycare's walls.
Didn't know that, but tracks.
Yeah. That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. The people that rewrite laws to suit their company's needs. That's who we're working with here. Absolutely great. Like, I love these characters that they don't need much tweaking to come into the MCU.
Okay.
At all. Especially with the little nods they've already had. Like, I don't remember which series it was on Netflix. It might have been Daredevil, where they were walking through a Korean neighborhood, and one of the shop windows, somebody translated, it was actually the Church of Thor. But it was in Korean.
Right.
So there's already this acknowledgement that these things exist. I mean, this is probably the easiest one to bring in. None of these characters have been on the same level as the MCU characters we've seen. Yeah, very under the radar, which I think is cool because you need that distinction with this many characters running around. Because either they're all stepping on each other's toes, or they all need space to be doing something different.
Right. Either they're forming up and they're working together and there's some type of alliance, or especially because in the universe that these guys are in, they're these, especially in the screen that we're looking at, 4 of the 5 are neighbors.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
They're all in the same neighborhood. And I think that the Punisher is actually not too far away. So, I mean, we're in the same neighborhood. They know of each other. They know of each other's existence. There's a reason why Rosario Dawson's characters in all of these series. I think except for the Punisher series, so because there's a closeness, there's shared territory, so there has to be some level of interaction.
Right. But these are not the characters who would be hanging out with Tony Stark.
Correct.
I mean, I could see Punisher maybe getting Captain America's attention for 5 minutes. But I don't think they'd exactly be going out for shawarma after a mission.
I could see Luke Cage doing something with something Avengers level just because of his power set.
Yeah, and his financial standing.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, and that's what I've always liked about Marvel. Like even when I was a kid reading the books, is you had your street level characters like these guys in Spider-Man, and then you had your like larger scale conflict characters like the Avengers.
Right.
You know, and they were like, even though they lived in the same town, they operated in different social circles.
But they had something for everybody.
Yeah. And then there were the X-Men off doing their own weird mutant thing.
What's that blue guy doing? Oh, well, blue guy stuff. All right.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty easy to bring these guys in without any real tweaking.
No. There's only one major tweak that has to happen with these 5 characters.
Does it have to do with Iron Fist?
This dude cannot come back. Cannot. I'm sorry. This is the worst. I was so excited for Danny Rand. I was so excited for Iron Fist. There's so much potential with the Iron Fist character. And this dude sucks out loud. Just, oh my God.
I mean, they could just do a recast.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping they bring Iron Fist back, but with a different actor. Because his fighting was so bad and so cheesy that, and matter of fact, so it's on one of the live shows where Master Allen visited us. Now, Master Allen, we call him that because he is a master of martial arts, and he is an instructor. And he talks about how, you know, usually when in fight scenes, they focus on showing you the hero and the fighting and all these things. They focused more on his girlfriend and her fighting and showed him from the back, kind of like over the shoulder, because his fighting was so bad. And rumors were that, and these kind of persisted throughout the entirety of not only Iron Fist, but the Defenders series, was that he didn't really want to learn to do how to do the fight scenes. The actor didn't.
Really?
Yeah. And so he was just kind of
not want to fight. Anyway.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Side point: your daughter put on a sweatshirt to check the kitchen freezer for ice cream.
I didn't think it was that cold in there. But anyway.
Apparently it is. And I just want more Jessica Jones. Agreed.
Me too.
Jessica Jones. And honestly, I want more David Tennant. I want him to. I need him back as Kilgrave. Kilgrave.
That might be tricky considering, you know, he kind of died.
I know that. I'm aware.
But it's also a comic book based series, so
anything's possible. Like he could have a good evil twin. I don't know, but
so a good twin?
No, still evil.
So
there's like evil, and then there's evil. Like he's the evilest of evil.
It's like there's Steve Urkel, and then there's Stefan Urkel.
Exactly. So, you know, whatever way I get more Kilgrave,
okay.
I will definitely take, because David Tennant was truly terrifying. He was scary as a villain.
Uh-huh.
And I loved him in that role.
Oh, yeah.
Just loved him as Kilgrave.
Yeah.
So
he was great. And allegedly Jessica Jones is supposed to come back in season 2 of Daredevil, which has already started filming.
Yes.
They've got their 18 episode run starting this week, and they've got the second season already filming.
I love that.
I'm excited. I think
like we don't have to wait. We don't have to wait 3 years in between seasons, and we don't have to only sit through 6 episodes. This is fantastic. Somebody listened. Oh my God.
So, the big problems with that for me are twofold. First of all, you get these guys in their 30s and 40s playing superheroes, and if they're doing it for 10, 15 years, then they're in their late 40s, early 50s.
Right.
But then also you get, even if you get a younger actor or actress, so we've all watched Stranger Things, right? Good show. Good family fun, right? Millie Bobby Brown does not look like 11 anymore.
Right.
Not a bit.
Well, they've all grown up. I mean, all the
Yeah.
characters have aged so much because they put so much time in between the seasons. You know,
Right.
it's like we're watching them go from middle schoolers, and like the next season, I think they're going to have to be in college.
That's what I've been joking about for the last 2 years. Which I think even with you, I've made that joke.
Yeah,
That,
they have to be in college, you know,
yeah.
or they're off starting their families and planning their retirement funds because
Mhm.
it's been so long in between. But
Yeah. It's been years since we've had Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Punisher on screen. And
yeesh.
I mean, fortunately, it hasn't been so long that like Charlie Cox is going completely gray. But he's not exactly as young as he used to be.
Right. They're losing their spring chickenness.
Yeah. Which I have things about that later with other series.
But, you know, whatever doesn't bring this guy back, I'm good with. I just want to put that out there one more time.
Yeah. Recasting's not a big deal.
Again, recast it. Don't cancel it. Bring Iron Fist back. He's a great character with a ton of potential. So many opportunities for crossovers with the top tier Avengers. And, you know, there's so many opportunities there with him as a character. And it would just be a shame to not have Iron Fist involved in the MCU somewhere. Just because this guy didn't just want to do his job as an actor. Anyway.
Right. And especially with him interacting with Luke Cage. I mean, that's always been a thing in the comics.
Yeah.
You know, since the 70s. So, I mean, we kind of need that to have the right dynamics.
Agreed. All right. You ready for the next one?
Let's try it.
All right. Here we go. It's the Fantastic Four. So I struggled with which iteration of the Fantastic Four to put on the screen. Because so the original Fox version, I didn't hate.
Jessica Alba.
See, I
love you, Kathleen, but
yes. You know, and Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, I thought was really good. And
in his last appearance, he was still good as that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yes. Yes, he was. From what I hear. You know, I didn't hate that one. Now the second one, the one with Miles Teller and all the rest of the gang, Michael B. Jordan, that was atrocious. That was just, oh my God, I wanted to shove 4 sticks into my eyes.
Yeah, I didn't even bother watching that one. And likewise, I'm not threatened by Pedro Pascal.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, all right. I wasn't
sober. I've been drinking. Anyway.
So there's that. So I hated that version of it.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about this version. And I'll tell you why before you get into anything else.
Okay.
I've watched the trailer. I've watched some little things here and there. I'm nervous about Pedro Pascal. He's the one I'm nervous about, to be honest with you. And here's why. I love Pedro Pascal as an actor, but sometimes what happens when we have an actor who's very popular and everybody wants him, we put him into roles that maybe he's not necessarily fit for.
Oh, you mean like Tom Cruise?
That's a whole nother topic. Now, I want to say this, though, and preface this with, I said the same thing about Heath Ledger. I said, Heath Ledger, there's no way he could ever be a good Joker. I was very vocal about it.
The kid from 10 Things I Hate About You? No way.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way that dude can be a Joker. There's no way. This is going to be awful. It's going to be the worst movie ever. It's going to be horrible. I have never happily eaten so much crow in my life.
Yep.
And I will gladly do the same thing here if I'm wrong. I don't think Pedro's going to be awful. Don't get me wrong, because I think Pedro is a much better actor than a lot of people realize. Because I think a lot of people just think, well, Space Daddy, because of Mandalorian, being the voice of the Mandalorian and the face of the Mandalorian. But I've watched enough of the other things that he's been in. Pedro's a very qualified actor and he does a lot of good things. So on the surface, it's like, yeah, this is a really smart thing because A, he's very popular and he'll get a lot of people like your wife interested in going to the movie. And B, he's a really good actor. So he's qualified, he's got a big draw, and everybody will he'll bring people in to come see the movie. On the other hand, I just don't see him as Reed Richards, and it's not because he's Latina. It has nothing to do with it.
No,
because I've never been the type of person who's like, oh, that character can't be this race or that thing or whatever. I don't care if the actor's good and they can pull off the role, go for it, whatever. I can't put my finger quite on what it is, but something's holding me back saying that he's going to be awesome at it. And I want to be wrong, and I'm hoping I'm going to be wrong. And I think really, really, really what it comes down to, now that I've built this whole platform and I've wasted about 7 minutes telling you about all of this, it's not John Krasinski. And I think that's my biggest thing, is I wanted John Krasinski in the role.
Okay.
Like deep down, I wanted John Krasinski in the role.
Yeah. It almost feels more like his appearance in Multiverse of Madness was like almost like an inside joke to the fans.
Yeah, it was a big tease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph Quinn, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does as Human Torch.
Right?
Should be interesting. Actually, I'm most interested in that and watching The Thing. Like Ben Grimm, because the little bit we see in the trailer, that is the best version of Ben Grimm I have seen outside of like hand-drawn animation from the 90s.
Actually looks like a pile of rocks.
Actually looks and moves like you imagine the character would.
Correct.
Yes. And that's actually what sold me most on the trailer, was they got Thing right. I'm in.
Right?
Well, that, and then see the back of Galactus's head, and Galactus isn't just a cloud.
Thank God.
I know, right?
And they got Herbie, so I mean, come on.
Oh, Herbie, yeah. And allegedly there's going to be the Fantasticar and all these other things that like little 10-year-old me is geeking out about in the background.
One of the trailers shows the Fantasticar.
Right. And since they're not doing another origin story.
Yeah.
Because we've done that, 2 or 3 times already?
Yeah, they're taking up after that point. So it's already, here we are. And I like that. I like the fact that we look, hey, everybody knows the origin story. It's been shown so many times. Let's just take up from this point. And here we are. Here are the characters. Mm-hmm. I like that they're going to acknowledge. It looks like they're going to acknowledge the origin, but not focus on the origin. I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And I'm hoping we get a peek at Doom in this as well.
Oh, RDJ's Doom?
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if it's a post-credit scene, mid-credit scene, whatever it is. I mean, Doom and Reed Richards are just connected. They are part of each other's origin and history, and it'd be a mistake to not acknowledge that.
So I'm wondering, with Galactus being involved, are we going to get the Silver Surfer?
Yes.
Some way, some form?
Yes.
It would. Okay. Oh, that's right. That has been confirmed. We have the female version of the Silver Surfer, which before anybody loses their mind, go do your research. There's a female Silver Surfer. Just go with it, please.
Yeah.
It's fine. I know reading comprehension is hard for many people. Looking at you, Star Wars fans. Anyway. Sorry, feeling a little saucy still from the other day.
It was last week. We're done with last week. There's a
but are we though?
Talking about that.
But are we though? But yeah,
until Andor, I'm good not talking about Star Wars.
Okay, I'll try very, very hard. Probably gonna fail, but anyway. So I forgot. I honestly had forgotten about the fact that they were bringing her in. So yeah, I'm excited for that. See what they can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, the Silver Surfer that was in the Silver Surfer movie for the Fox Fantastic Four, played by Doug Jones, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
I had no other than the fact that he was reporting to Cloudicus, not Galactus, because that was Cloudicus. That was only my real. I mean, I have other complaints about the movie. Don't get me wrong, but that was my big complaint about that. But yeah. So, but I thought they did a really good job with the board and the Silver Surfer.
Yeah. But what I'm especially excited about, and this is where I start forming some of my own theories about how to do things, is this is not set in the same time period as the rest of the MCU.
Correct.
It's in the 60s.
It's in the 60s, yeah.
Yeah. So it's got that retro futurist look to it, but it's set, let's see here, it's 2025. So it's set like 60 some years ago.
Right.
That has me excited because there's a lot of gap in there for stories.
Correct. Yes. And I like the fact that, so not only are they setting the movie in the 60s and all the art deco throughout the movie is very, very 60s vibe and very, like you said, it was the retro futuristic look, but it's also like all the artwork for this, the promo images and everything all have that very 60s look to the artwork, and it just kind of gives you this whole vibe going into this that I think is going to kind of bring it home and make it a little more exciting.
Yeah. Because this is going to sound a little controversial, but I think there's too much going on in the modern MCU.
Never.
There's too many people running around, too many plots that have been forgotten and left hanging for years. I mean, one of your big characters for the last couple phases was supposed to be Shang-Chi. We haven't seen him on screen in what, 4 years? 5 years?
At least.
Okay. The end of the first Doctor Strange movie, there was a perfect setup for a sequel with the post-credit scene with there's too many sorcerers. Where'd that plug go? Where's that character? I don't know. You know, the end of Eternals, if anybody watched Eternals, anybody? Okay. Post-credit scene, you got to set up for Black Knight and Blade.
I was so excited about that potential, and yeah.
Where's that? So, because there's so much to do and so many stories to tell, trying to cram them all into the same space is hard and confusing. Because then it's which order did these happen in if you try to get anybody into these now? It's okay, so you have to watch these 30 movies and these dozen TV shows to understand what's happening here. Right.
This has potential just to plop in and be able to watch it. Yeah. MCU plot? What plot? They have a plot?
They used to. And it was great. Fabric stretched over boobies and explosions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's America's ass. Thank you. One of the things that I'm kind of looking forward to with this potential of what we're doing with storylines, though, and where this could be heading now that they've gotten rid of Kang, might be bringing Kang back. Who knows what they're doing with Kang and that whole abandoned storyline, but maybe not an abandoned storyline, is that we have potential for to see the Dark Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
And we have potential. This was a little less known group that I was not as familiar with, but I think it was like the UK Avengers or something like that. There's also a version of that the Black Knight would have been part of, So, and Moon Knight and all these other things. So there's another possibility there for some other storylines. Now, will those happen? Probably not, because those are smaller factions and won't be known. But Dark Avengers has a real possibility after Secret Wars. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be Thunderbolts because they all have the same skill set. They shoot and they punch things.
Pretty much.
And I mean, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. Watched a lot of 80s and 90s action movies as a kid. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme, Chuck Norris. I can watch this all day.
I just want to watch Red Guardian. That's all I need, really.
Okay,
it cracks me up.
Yeah, I love that character. And he even mentioned in was it in Black Widow? He mentioned that he fought Captain America.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Steve Rogers.
It's Sam Wilson.
No, it was Isaiah Bradley.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another character they need to do something with other than just have him show up for a cameo.
Right. I mean, and this is part of my thing too, is, okay, so if we have the original Captain America in the 40s, and we have the Fantastic Four in the 60s, and we have the modern Avengers starting in like 2008, there's a lot of gap in there to tell stories with some other characters.
Correct.
The original post-credit scene for the first Iron Man movie. Nick Fury comes out and he's talking about, do you think you're the only superhero? I've got this world full of radioactive spiders and mutants, and I think they need to do some backfill.
They do.
And part of that fill is the X-Men. Yes.
For sure, Phil.
Yeah.
But here's one of the things though, and then I'm thinking is going to happen with the Fantastic Four movie, because we're talking about this time gap and how we're going to have this time from the 60s to the modern day 2020 era. I think because they were so heavily leaning on the multiverse line that we're going to see these fantastical four people and possibly even Herbie get time shifted to modern time. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to stay in the 60s. I really don't.
I hope not.
I think that's what's going to happen, and then that's going to open the door for them to help complete the ushering in of the X-Men.
Yeah, I realize that's probably what's going to happen, but I think that's terrible.
So,
I
hope it's not what's going to happen, but I think it's what's going to happen because of everything else and how much they have invested into the multiverse story.
Have they?
The whole last phase was multiverse. Every single movie had a multiverse leaning in it, with multiverse, characters and multiverse stories and multiverse this or that, and they could reach out, the Marvels movie.
Okay, I like Marvels.
The Quantumania movie, Well, I mean, that had some good spots in it, but it was a pretty rough movie.
Yeah, but I actually paid money to watch that in a theater too.
Me too. But I really enjoyed the Marvels movie, and that was a whole lot of fun. And
it was a blast.
Beast in it. There's a lot of cool things about that movie.
I think the Marvels movie is one time that in recent history, Marvel has gotten something right, like absolutely right. Because, okay, so they introduced, can't think of her name, Rambeau, Monica, right?
Yeah, Monica Rambeau.
Introduced her over in WandaVision.
Right.
They had Kamala Khan in her own series. And then they brought them together with Captain Marvel in a movie. So they had established the characters and then brought them together as a team.
Yeah, no, they did that right.
Yeah. Like the last time they did that was phase 1.
I just didn't like the big bad for the movie.
Okay, yeah, definitely not a perfect movie. I'm not saying that. But as far as bringing the characters together, and we already knew who they were, and we actually gave a crap.
Okay, so for that part, yes, you're right. They did do that right. I thought you were talking about the movie as a whole. I'm like, it was a little on the Spaceball side of we're stealing your oxygen.
Yeah.
I mean, all they were missing was the big vacuum cleaner over the planet. I mean, come on.
She's gone from suck to blow.
We're going to Plaid.
Ludicrous speed.
Yeah. Good times.
I almost
I would have paid to watch that. But yeah, Dar-Benn was just not convincing as a villain. But
no, not really.
Okay, enough about that. But yeah, so that's what I mean though. I see there's a lot of things that are going on in this whole multiverse background where something has to catch up. And I think in order to catch up the Fantastic Four to everything multiverse wise and explain why we're not getting John Krasinski as my Reed Richards, I think that's what's going to happen, is that they're going to step through a multiverse wormhole that's going to bring them to modern day, and then they're going to meet their MCU counterparts.
Okay, maybe.
I really think that's what's going to happen here.
I'll be disappointed, but I won't be surprised.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. All right, who else we got?
All right, here we go. Well, Phil said these guys. We should probably talk about them.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, Phil is our podcast Sherpa, and he gives us lots of good advice. By the way, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking about starting a podcast and doing anything podcast-wise, Phil Better of the Phil Better Show, and just go watch him, listen to him, follow his advice. He is amazing, and I respect the hell out of him. So, but yeah, Phil's really good dude, and he said we should talk about the X-Men. So we should probably talk about the X-Men. Yes.
So I love these guys. I absolutely love these movies. I mean, Hugh Jackman played Wolverine for a quarter of a century. Was just beautiful. I mean, Disney's going to make him do it till he's 90.
Yep.
We all know it.
CGI that boy. That's all I care about. Just keep him going.
Yeah.
But we will not hush. We will keep talking. You cannot silence us. Ha ha ha.
But there are a few things with the X-Men that are difficult about the current MCU. Well, one thing in particular, and it's Magneto. Because he's a Holocaust survivor.
Yes.
Which means that if he were to appear in a modern movie, he is at least 85 years old.
Yes.
And it gets really hard to buy an 85-year-old guy stomping around, in capes and tights and helmet and everything else. Yes. Yes, Tim?
I don't know if you know this or not, and I don't mean to tell you the things that you think you already know.
I wish I could mute you.
But he's a mutant.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
I'm very aware of that. Okay.
Okay. All Please proceed. I shush now. Okay.
And so there have been conversations online with different aspects of the fandom about how are you going to address that? And part of it is just hand waving away as slow aging as part of his mutation. Which works. I guess. Sort of. Also, the making him a survivor of a different kind of genocide. I'm just saying that word. I can feel us like getting throttled in the algorithm. But, there were other things that have happened in history that he could be a survivor of.
Correct.
But then that takes away from his actual history. And that's going to tick people off. And this is going to get into like a Star Wars fan situation where whatever you do, somebody's going to be mad at you.
Somebody's going to be pissed.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah. No, please continue. Finish.
So I think that the X-Men should be set in the past, not in the modern era.
So Days of Future Past.
Sort of, but not exactly. Also, I think that was supposed to happen in 2025, and we got a problem. That's what happens when you base your movies off a book from 40 years ago.
Right?
Yeah. But if I remember right, there's a comic or a bit in a cartoon somewhere where Captain America liberated the camp that Magneto was in.
Okay.
I might be remembering that wrong. There's also a story where Captain America is fighting alongside this weird Canadian guy named Logan.
Right.
And so you have these two characters that could have connections to the 40s, survive the 60s with the Fantastic Four, and then start being heroes in the 70s and 80s. It's entirely possible.
Well, I mean, Logan slow ages up until when he doesn't. But
and honestly, if they recast Wolverine and they make a series of like 10 movies about him over the last 80 years, we'll all watch them.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. They could do a Wolverine movie every 2 years and people would watch it if the actor's right. right?
Oh yeah.
I would love for somebody to tell me no. That person probably saw X-Men Origins Wolverine. Anyway, worst Deadpool ever. But no, I think, especially with the nature of mutants and mutant rights and the social commentary tied with that. I mean, that was set in the 60s when other rights issues were being fought for a reason. You know, if they try to make that too modern of a story, it's gonna blow back from a lot of people, which I think Disney is trying to avoid right now.
Right.
Unfortunately,
yeah, Wolverine is my favorite X-Men movie.
You just like it because he's naked for half of it.
That's what Marvel go back to solo stories without interconnectedness, like comic books. I like actually having both. I think that what they did, Phil, though, is that they tried, especially with Marvel, is that they pulled it off once with Avengers and Endgame. Yep. And after that, they were like, oh, we can keep doing this and we can just keep telling these stories. The problem is that there's so many stories after that convergence of stories, and to carry it on, you have to have the same level of attention and dedication that went into crafting the first set of stories. And that clearly hasn't been the case.
And that's the thing about separating characters in the timeline too, is then you have a spot for the X-Men to exist without having them running into the Avengers.
Right.
They have a chance to breathe on their own. You know?
Agreed.
Same thing with the Defenders. They're not in the same level as the Avengers, which is why they work. They're ground level. You know, they're bartenders, they're detectives, they're lawyers. They are not Tony Stark and Thor.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think by spreading these characters out along the timeline, instead of just lumping them all in the 2020s, we would have that chance for there's a connection at either end of their respective personal timelines without it getting to be a muddy mess.
Well, not to me. This is to John. You can take that up with your husband. Kathleen asks, is that all I am to you tonight? Some dumb girl driven to movies and characters because of my sex? I'm only interested in Fantastic Four because of Pedro. I only like Wolverine for Naked Hugh. Wow. I said Pedro. I was in on that one, but your husband said Naked Hugh.
Kathleen, to even things out, I would like to see the new Jurassic Park movie. It has nothing to do with the dinosaurs. I know how that's all going to work out, but it's got Scarlett Johansson.
Fair enough. Okay. Point taken.
Although I'm just assuming everybody thinks like me. I'm sorry.
I'm also just going to say that if we're going to talk about somebody being a possibility of, we want to talk about the Wolverine getting 10 movies and carrying on and all that, because he's also the proper height. If Daniel Radcliffe isn't considered, oof. That dude is just jacked.
Where was that from? Because
I can't remember what movie. That is, but Harry Potter got buff, and
he definitely long bottomed. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah. So I'm sorry. He what?
Okay, so pop culture reference, a meme, a trope, if you will, to long bottom is where you go from being a derpy, dorky looking character at the beginning of the series to being kind of sort of sexy by the end of the series. And if I remember correctly, it's based on a character from Harry Potter whose name was Longbottom.
I'm going to take your word for it, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think spreading the characters out across the timeline more would be interesting so they each have their own space to breathe. And so Marvel can fix what I feel is one of their gravest sins to date. And that is making Kang a punk.
Neville Longbottom.
Yeah, that must be it. Anyway, yeah, Kang was supposed to be the big bad of the multiverse saga, right? And then for PR reasons, they canned his character.
Yeah, they had to crap can it because everything that was happening, and it just was kind of.
Yeah, and I understand that. I respect that as from a business PR standpoint, whatever. But Kang deserves better. Honestly,
no, he was a better villain than that.
Yeah, but Kang is also a time traveler. So if you have characters spread out over 80, 100, 200 years, Kang can fight all of them.
Would have tied in the multiverse.
The timeline. Just having him jump back and forth. Go back to the 40s and punch Steve Rogers in the face, and then, out to 2020 and fight Shang-Chi, You're
right. No, I agree.
Like that would make him the plausible threat that he's supposed to be. You could fix Kang.
There's a way to fix Kang without having to bring Jonathan Majors back, though.
Recast him? A variant?
I have the perfect recast for him.
Okay, I'm curious.
Denzel Washington.
Ooh, dang.
Now, here's the thing. Denzel Washington and Jonathan Majors, they don't look identical, but we've already proven that we don't need to have the same character look identical because of Pedro and John Krasinski.
I was going to go with Thunderbolt Ross.
Okay, there's also that. But that was a recast because of death, not because of anything else. And that was in the same universe. So They didn't have much of a choice there. But I would love to see Denzel Washington play a villain because here's the thing. If you've ever watched any of the movies like the Equalizer movies or Man on Fire, oh crap, he has this streak in him and this ability to get dark. And I would love to see this version of Kang as Denzel Washington step out and be like, that guy was a lesser version of me. Here I am in all of my glory, and just go dark and just go for it.
That would be pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for to see happens. And it doesn't have to be Denzel, but I love Denzel's movies, and it just about anything that Denzel Washington is in, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll watch it. Denzel's in it. It's one of those movies, like a Harrison Ford movie to me. It's a rubber stamp. As soon as I see it announced that it's going to happen, okay, well, I got to go see that movie. It's going to be good.
Yeah,
and I think that Denzel would bring a lot of credibility to that role, for the credibility that was lost with everything that happened.
Yeah, I can see that working. Yeah.
So Disney, make it happen.
Yeah,
please. So anyway,
and while we're at it, just going back to my starting stories over. Cast some really young actors who are actually students at Xavier's school.
That'd be fun.
Some 18 to 25-year-old actors. Keep them around for 20 years and just let them actually age as the characters.
Be kind of fun, and don't wait 10 years between movies.
Good grief. Oh. But like I said, based on what they're doing with Daredevil right now, I think maybe Disney's figured out that 2 years between series of 8 episodes that are like 20 to 35 minutes long each episode
isn't really working.
That's a steaming load of crap.
That people will pay more attention if you give them more. So
yeah.
So yeah, there's the thing.
If you film it, we will watch.
Pretty much.
As long as it doesn't suck.
Exactly.
Even then, I'll still watch.
Probably. We'll just have more to talk about if it does suck. So.
But we'll do it as nicely as we can because we're not flaming bags of Richards.
Exactly. See, he gets it. This guy gets it.
It's like, I didn't really like this, but you know what they did right? Like the Marvels.
Let me tell you why it only mostly sucked. So yeah.
But you know what's great about episode 9? John Williams' score.
My favorite part is still the end credits. So anyway, we're talking about Star Wars again.
Sorry, that was my fault.
It's your fault. I just followed suit. I told you I was going to follow.
I made it like half an hour. Come on, man.
You did good. You did good, kid. All right, so that gives us an opportunity to ways that we can see the Netflix characters come in, the Fox movie characters come in, the Sony characters come in. As long as we don't bring in the Sony villains and they recast Iron Fist from the Netflix series, all will be okay. I think we have a good basis here. So
yeah.
All right. So let's see. Yesterday if you guys missed it, we released our interview with Catherine Baskin.
That was yesterday?
Catherine, yeah, that was yesterday.
Cool.
Catherine is the community manager for Arrowhead Game Studios. They are the creator of the game Helldivers 2. So we talked with her about that game, how she got into games, because she was a huge Max Payne fan, and how that got her into the gaming community and being so involved with that. And she's got a really cool podcast with her brother called Failure Piece Theater, where they talk about crappy movies together, and it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And of course, we do talk about Helldivers, and we talk about the fun that is the Hellbomb backpack and the shenanigans that come from that. Because in this game, you get to carry a massive nuclear warhead on your back. And the best part is, John, if you as a character were running around with this backpack, I could walk up behind you and activate it without you knowing and run away and explode you. It's fantastic. Shenanigans are real in this game, and it's so much fun. So by the time you know that it's about to happen, you can't get away fast enough. So it's good times. Okay. And they did it on purpose. That's the best part. So
of course they did.
But yeah, so she talks about that and everything else. But it's a really cool episode with a really, really stellar person, and we're looking for ways to get her back on the show. The only difficulty we have is that she's in Sweden, so she's 6 hours ahead of us. So we have to do some juggling of schedules in order to record with her and things like that. But we'll make it work because she's cool enough to get her back on the show. Cool. So, but yeah, that's available, of course, here on YouTube, and of course your favorite audio podcast provider. And we would like to suggest that you check us out on Good Pods. That is the place where we encourage people to go and give us a listen over there. It's just a really nice community and a great podcast listening app. And it's a really cool way to socialize your podcast listening with other podcasters and other podcast fans. So anyway, check that out. And on that note, I think that's all, folks.
Yeah.
Unless John, you have something else.
No, I'll have more opinions next week, though.
That's what we're hoping for. Same bat time, same bat channel. Come back next week, and you'll get to see us two batty folks talk about batty things and do bat stuff. I don't know. It won't be anything Batman related next week, because this month is March, and we're doing a Marvel March. So every Thursday we'll be talking about things Marvel related. MCU, comic books, whatever it may be, video games that are in the Marvel universe, whatever. Yeah, we're kind of doing this on the fly. We're having fun with it, and that's really all that matters at the moment and what we're going for. So until next time, kids and cadets, may the force continue to be with you as you live long and prosper. Goodbye.
Nanu.
That too.
Copyright 2025 FSF Podcast. Reference any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com.